Right, good morning. Good morning. I have just finished doing a Zoom with Studio Clubbers where we're making string. And I thought, what I'll do before I tidy up, before I get all organised, I will sit and drink the remnants of my coffee and chat to you. Right, so this is my studio table and my coffee. And it is a glorious, glorious, frosty, bright, cold day outside. And although it makes it really cold and slippy, I came down that path. I was going to film myself coming down the path, but I was kind of like doing a little shuffle. So I thought that's not going to look very good on camera. The path is really slippy. But despite all of that, it lifts my heart just seeing all of this beautiful, bright, white light. So this morning, as I said, I have been doing a little sort of Zoom get-together, pre-Christmas get-together for Studio Club people. And we have been making string. So this is string that I have been making for my present wrapping. Okay. Little star of hope there. Out of scraps of fabric. I have lots and lots of string here, and we were just sitting there in a really mindful kind of way, making string to wrap presents, possibly to make coasters or hang bunting, all of that kind of thing. But I also had another secret reason to wanting to get together with some of my studio clubbers, and that was to talk about next year and about the way that I want to take the studio club and the tweaks that I'm intending to make, and to get, feedback and opinions and all of that kind of thing. And I thought that this might be a good opportunity to talk about that here, and about planning and changing and developing and expanding when you are a business. So if you haven't been here before, my name's Jane and I run a business called Snapdragon Life. I'm a textile artist, particularly a botanical dyer, and I'm interested in all things kind of vintage textiles and history, so on. And I live in the middle of Scotland, very near Loch Lomond, and I run an online membership club called the Studio Club. Now, the Studio Club has been going a long time. I think this must be our 9th year that we're coming up for. And it was quite a different thing when I first started it. I was running a product business, which is called Snapdragon. We did personalised gifts. We did subscription craft kits. It was all really about product, and the whole business was set up to, at this time of year, we're sort of a week, 10 days before Christmas, before Christmas post. The whole of my studio here would be just warehouse shelves, which would get filled up and then sent out. We were sending out 300 orders a day, all of which were made to order. It just sounds nonsensical now when I look back, the amount of work that we did in the sort of 6 weeks before Christmas. So when I started the membership, there was quite a big part of it was still products. And in those early days, many people used it really as just an economical way of buying things, because you got money off. In fact, you got to buy at pretty much wholesale price. And then when I stopped that kind of product side of the business, the club changed and it became much more about making things. And then gradually I've been able to put more and more tech in, so it's been much more about courses and community and just having somewhere that is for people who are curious and intelligent and love making things and want to connect with nature and maybe make things that are connected with nature. So we do cyanotypes and natural dyeing and eco-printing and so on. So it had already changed a lot. But I was wanting to make some more changes because more tech has become available, but also more memberships have started. And I want to lean into what makes the Studio Club different. And because I think that there's space for all of these memberships. But if you're the only membership in a particular field, then you can be, well, not lazy, but you don't have to define yourself quite so well. You can be sort of like a bit more fuzzy around the edges. But what I thought would be better is to really lean into the oddity and the eccentricity and the personal nature of the Studio Club. So about 6 weeks ago, I suppose, I put out a survey to all the Studio Clubbers and about, what they'd like to change, what they don't want to change and things. And suddenly I got all of these emails from people basically saying, please don't change, and telling me all about the things that they had made while they're in the Studio Club, or the difference that it had made to kind of their state of mind or their well-being and so on. So partly in today's Zoom, I wanted to just talk about what it is that I'm wanting to change and to reassure people that I'm not kind of going to become more corporate, which is what a lot of people thought that I was going to try and do. And in fact, I think realistically, I'm leaning into the oddities. I'm becoming less corporate. So, what was I going to say? The other thing that I would say is that being here on YouTube, which is something that I have really enjoyed so much more than I thought I would. It was my friend Georgie at Common Farm Flowers who suggested that I came onto YouTube, and I was very skeptical, and I didn't think that I would like talking to a camera, and I didn't think that I would like editing, and I thought, oh, it's just, I looked at YouTube and what was coming up on my feed wasn't what I was wanting to do. And it's only when I started it and I realised that actually there's a wonderful community here that I have fallen in love with it. And also it has meant that practically all of my marketing, which actually, it's not really marketing, all my visibility, I suppose, all my visibility has become YouTube. And because YouTube has a worldwide audience, my Studio Club has got more and more people who have joined from America and Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa. And that has changed the way that I think about the club. I think of it as being much more expansive, much more potential for connection. And it's also meant that there's going to be much more video because I'm now set up to do videos and I know how to use a microphone usually, and I've got lighting in the studio, a big light up there because out there it's like you're in a grey cloud. So that has changed, and the product side of my business, because I still do sell supplies and supply kits and sometimes limited editions of things that I make. That side is at the scale that I wanted. It's something that I can handle myself. I can open and shut the shop, or I could go out of stock of things. I can do really small runs of 20 of something if that's what I want to do. It's very much now, whereas at the beginning, when I first started Studio Club and I had 4 members of staff who were making products or packing products, it was really product based. And now that there's just me playing shop when I want to, that's not as important to me. So there will always be supplies, but they're not going to ever scale, because that's not what I want to do. And also, realistically, as this is going to go out on the 13th, which is the day that all small businesses in the UK suddenly find that they can't sell new products into the EU or Northern Ireland because of some Brexit nonsense. So it's a good job that I'm not relying on products, quite frankly. Very, very annoyed about this. Partly because it wasn't really publicised until the last couple of weeks, and you still can't find any decent, hard, completely factual information. But it looks as though I can't sell any new products into the EU or Northern Ireland from today. So, what are going to be the changes in the Studio Club? Well, the first thing is that I'm going to make 90% of it course-based, but I'm going to make those courses really, really expansive. One of the problems that I have had in the Studio Club, and if I'm having it, I think all Studio Clubbers are going to be having it, is that there is so much material in there. 9 years of tutorials and courses and blogs and interviews. So much stuff that I can no longer find it. I have done the online equivalent of chucking it all in a cupboard to tidy up, and I don't know where it is. So now tech has moved on again, and I've been able to get some sort of back-end amendments to my website, which means that within the courses I can put up podcasts and videos. There are comment sections. There are PDF downloads. There's everything that you could possibly want I can put within this kind of container that is a course. So I can run everything by having things in courses, and then the forum and the private journal. So things that wouldn't fit into the course, I can put them as a private journal thing. That would tend to be things that are maybe a little bit vulnerable, or I'm on holiday somewhere and I see something and I want to share it. That kind of thing. Things that are off topic but interesting will go into the journal. Things that are sort of weekly non-course chat. So like we've got a gratitude thread, a book group is on the forum. All these kinds of things that are not to do with the course but are to do with community will remain in the forum, but then everything else will go into the course. And the course will be expansive. So the first one is going to be called Stitched. Its full name is The Nature of Creativity, Stitched. And it is about hand embroidery in its theme. But what I'm wanting to do is to discuss much more than that, because the course itself was inspired by the fact that so many friends I speak to at the moment are involved in helping relatives downsize or, sadly, clearing a house after a relative has died. And they often come to me and talk about the kinds of things that you find in sewing boxes. The button tin and embroidery threads, maybe half-work projects, that kind of thing, along with a lot of the embroidered pieces that have been kept and treasured and handed down. And what they're wanting is to find some way of honouring those people, of handing down not the things, not the press studs on paper and the bits of elastic, but the fact that these were skills are skills which were treasured, which were useful, and which have often skipped a generation. So in Stitched, what we're looking at is who taught us to sew, who's sewn in the past, you know, grandparents, aunties, school teachers, brownie leaders, who passed on these crafts. We're going to look at samplers and the difference between the kind of samplers that sort of upper middle class child would do and the samplers that somebody in a care home would do. They'd both be working on samplers at the same age. They're very different kind of outcomes. Going to be looking at the idea of works in progress and what do you do with works in progress and how do you kind of relate to works in progress, both the ones that you have and the ones that are handed down, and also looking at a lot of designs which play on the empty space that you often get on works in progress. We are going to be doing some natural dyeing and looking at sustainability and make, do and mend. And all through this, we're going to have talks and virtual get-togethers, exhibitions, book reviews. I've got some people coming in to do private podcasts, possibly lives. And very importantly, we are making several projects through it. So the first project is going to be a needle case. And this is the sampler bit here, all of the stitches that we are going to learn, all of the, or rather the kind of like riffs on a very simple stitch. We're going to try and document them on a piece of fabric, which becomes a needle case. And then this one is actually a 1930s transfer. It's going to be looking at the idea of this kind of decorating your home in the 1930s. And it's kind of like between First and Second World War and a very particular kind of domesticity, which was often has been derided. So look at that, look at the skills, and also look at how we would develop our own designs from that. So I'm really excited about this. I think it gives so much scope. And one thing that will be interesting is sometimes people say, in the past I have done a course, say on cyanotypes or whatever, and it has just been, this is how you do cyanotypes. And, you know, very kind of basic, straightforward kind of course. This is how you do them. These are the things that you can do with them. And for any studio clubber who is not able to devote the time to making the cyanotypes, they have felt, oh, I'm missing out a little bit on this. But with this new style course, there's going to be things that you could listen to on a walk or read with your coffee, as well as the tutorials and the get-togethers and things. And often with our get-togethers, there will be people there who are just there for the chat, you know, who aren't making the thing at all, or maybe they're making something else. They've brought their knitting and a cup of coffee and just joining in. So that's kind of where I am, and it is really exciting. And I think that the reason that I have a business, I keep coming up with lots and lots of different reasons why I have a business, but actually the one that fills me with joy is that I get to call the shots. I get to change it. I get to make it so that it is so much more interesting for me. You know, if I get fed up with something, I can just change it, work out a different way to do it. The Studio Club at the moment is £9.95 a month, and that's actually probably something else that I should say, that existing members, you just get to stay on your own rate. If you're a Studio Clubber already, you get to stay on at the £9.95 rate for as long as you are a member. But middle of January, I am going to put up the rate for everybody else to £14.95. It's still not going to be massively expensive, because for me, I think that the advantages to me of having people who stay and whose lives this fits into outweighs putting the price up higher. So up until I don't know, it's whatever Tuesday is in the middle of January. I'll have to edit it on this. It's going to be £9.95 to join. After that, it's going to be £14.95. It's a monthly thing. You can cancel at any time. I don't have a minimum time. The courses are going to run over 6 months, each kind of container course, but it will be really possible to dip in and out of that. If you wanted to try a membership for 3 months, you're still going to get a lot of actual activities in that. It's not that I'm kind of like drib-drabbing the activities right the way through. All of the information about them will be in a particular month. I don't know. It's very exciting. Oh, that's the other thing. This year, I learned that there are lots of people who do not want to buy a membership of any type at any price, and that they would much rather just buy the course at a higher price than being a member. And for some reason, that had never occurred to me. So now I have done it so that you can buy the course, and I have an early bird price on that up again up until the middle of January. There's an early bird price on getting the full 6-month course, but to keep forever. It's yours as long as Snapdragon is going. That course will be there for you. So that's £175 at the moment, and that's up on the website now. But the course itself does not start until the 7th of January. That's when we kick off, and I'm very, very, very excited about it. If you've got any questions, just let me know. And now I'm going to go and take some film of the beautiful frost before it all goes away, before it gets dark, and leave you with some of that and some music. And I think I will make it Bossa Nova just for Miss Glenellen. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.